Before we get started here, I want you all to lock this website into your head, labelai.net. We'll get to that at the end. Hello everyone, this is Simon Kennedy, the President of the Australian Association of Voice Actors. Now, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, ACMA, this week announced new commercial radio codes of practice. Now, this is something that AAVA have been hoping to see for quite some time, especially in regards to artificial intelligence. And we actually met with Commercial Radio and Audio Australia, and we met with ACMA to tell them how important it was that transparency around AI-generated content is, and how much we need to see mandatory labelling and mandatory disclosure of AI-generated content. Obviously, voice actors are feeling the pinch from AI voices at the moment, and we feel that the audience deserves to know when they're listening to a human or not. Of course, we are aware of some of the scandals, if you will, with AI-generated DJs that weren't disclosed to audiences, AI-generated news broadcasts. This is very disappointing stuff. But we got excited when we saw this headline, AI disclosure required under new commercial radio rules. I mean, that's what we wanted to see. But then we dig a bit deeper. In the press release, ACMA Chair Nerida O'Loughlin said the new rules would allow audiences to make more informed decisions about their listening habits, and that sounded very promising. Broadcasting rules must keep pace with technology and with community expectations. We agree with that as well. So naturally, we went straight to the Commercial Radio Code of Practice to see what was new. Number 11, AI transparency. We'll go straight to that. Let's see what transparency is required. If you have a little look, it's not a very large section, but here it is. If a licensee broadcasts a regularly scheduled program or news program that is hosted by a synthetic voice generated by artificial intelligence, the licensee will provide appropriate transparency of such fact in one or more of the following ways. Now, let me just specify, before we get to the following ways, one or more. Obviously, most radio stations will only pick one. One or more. Let's see what those are and which one they might choose. A, during the episode, that would be good, or a later episode of the relevant regularly scheduled program or news program. A later episode, I think that sounds kind of insufficient. I would like to know while I'm listening to it, not in a later episode that I might not listen to. Not happy with that one. B, on the regularly scheduled programs or news programs website, the station's homepage or social media channels, or the licensee's website or social media channels as appropriate. Okay, that is pretty insufficient, right? So I don't know about you, but how many times would you flick to XYZ radio station in the course of a week? Quite a few times. You might flick between them. How many times would you go to that station's website? None for me. Their social media feed? None for me. So basically, when you're listening to it, you're not told. You have to go out of your way to find that information. I think that's insufficient. It feels like that might be one of the ones that they choose, though, doesn't it? And then C, in any other way that the licensee considers is appropriate in all the circumstances, in any other way. So basically, one of the options here, do what you want. Do what you think. You do what you think. This is not AI transparency. This is very disappointing. And have a look at this. 11.2. This section 11 only applies in relation to the hosting of a regularly scheduled program or news program by a synthetic voice that is generated by artificial intelligence. This section 11 does not apply in relation to any other content that is broadcast during the applicable regularly scheduled program or news program, including weather, traffic, music, and advertisements. I tell you what else isn't included: emergency information, breaking News is not included because it's not regular. Advertising is not included. So basically, we could have ad breaks filled with AI-generated voices and content. So you could have political advertisements that use AI-generated clones of politicians. I mean, this is concerning for me that none of this stuff is considered. I think that this is a fail, to be honest, from both Commercial Radio and Audio Australia and ACMA. This is very weak. This is why AAVA will continue to push our politicians for explicit mandatory labelling of all AI-generated content, because trust in our media matters, and this does not help trust in our media. If you agree, head now to labelalai.net to send an email to Communications Minister Annika Wells and let her know that this matters to you as well.